All right, so if you haven't watched Wonder Woman by now, well, you're in my class, but so you got to watch this damn video anyway. But that's your fault that you haven't watched Wonder Woman. But I was, it's so perplexing. I'm very confused. I was very confused thinking about Wonder Woman because I automatically thought Wonder Woman was supposed to be a feminist movie. Right. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a feminist or whatnot. It's like people have so many different definitions of what that is. I know what feminist is. I am an advocate. I am an ally. But I'm not acting like I can explain that from that perspective. But what I want to do is talk about how Wonder Woman is dominated still by men. That's how strong patriarchy is in our society, that you can title something Wonder Woman and it still be centered around men. And so let's celebrate. Let's make sure that we celebrate and take our moments to celebrate Wonder Woman. And that it has this obviously amazing female lead, Gal Gadot, female director. As a matter of fact, the movie was the highest grossing movie from a female director. And but like I said, I'm curious when I'm looking at this. The things I thought that they did well was that when a female director, I think when they took Wonder Woman, that they didn't feel the need to over-sexualize her in the way that I think a lot of males would have done. And as a matter of fact, I read some stuff about how men did perceive Wonder Woman, and they did make her, quote, sexy. And the female director, she had felt no need to do that. Although Wonder Woman was still very sexualized, she wasn't sexy. And I thought that was a real big win in that space. I like that they stayed true to her uniform. And I like that they mentioned love at the end, but unfortunately through the movie, they didn't actually focus on that, which to me really took away from like what it would mean for a woman, from a woman-centered perspective. But here's where I'm like freaking out, because Wonder Woman is actually the co-star of her own freaking movie. I mean, can you think about like Batman or Spider-Man or even freaking Superman, which like has no depth of character at all. But like when you think about those movies, you don't think about someone being the co-pilot in that space. But Wonder Woman, she had a co-pilot, a male co-pilot, Chris Pine, who plays Steve Trevor in the movie. I don't understand that, right? I really don't understand. Honestly, Steve Trevor's character was actually more important in the movie than Wonder Woman was. And I can demonstrate that to you by when he died at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, well, I guess that's too late for a spoiler alert. But when he died in the movie, I felt more sorry for him than I did for Wonder Woman. And that made me mad. Right? Because I'm here rooting for Wonder Woman, and yet I'm still feeling more for the male characters in the movie than for Wonder Woman's character by herself, right? Mansplaining. Samir's character literally was used at a moment in that movie to hush Wonder Woman and to explain why Wonder Woman was doing what it is that she was doing. That bothered me. They made Zeus her freaking father. I still don't get that one. It's like, look at the Greek god situation. They could have used Aphrodite, or they could have used Athena, and really to push a female perspective on this. And then if they did that, they could even make it more about love versus war. Man. And then they made war into like this really big male thing. I really didn't appreciate that one at all. And then this part really bothered me. They used her innocence in the movie to actually shut her up versus have her still. She wasn't even the protagonist in her own movie, I would argue. The things that made that movie happen were with the Steve Trevor character, not with Wonder Woman. That really bothered me. And so then when I'm looking at this, because if you want a counterpoint, it's like, oh, well, the innocence, she was supposed to be innocent and all of that stuff. Okay, I get it. Think about Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump, his innocence was used to drive the movie. It's like he had a very simple worldview, and his simple worldview drove his actions, drove the movie. And so that's where I would explain the difference between innocence between men and innocence between women. And lastly, for crying out loud, it's like here we are talking about achievable images for girls, right? And I have my daughter, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and so what do we do with Wonder Woman's character? We make her into a goddess. Really, folks? I thought princess was already hard enough for a woman to achieve. Now we make her into a goddess? Really? That's how we're doing this here. And so then we can think about Wonder Woman in a lot of different ways, but when it all comes down to it, it still did very well in a man-centered world because it had a man-centered thing.